Thank you for coming to the special session for the budget. City Council meeting Tuesday, February 20th at 5 o'clock. Can I get a roll call, please?
DeWater,
Here.
Morris,
Here.
Weir. Yes. Smock, and Clements.
Number 3 is approval of the February 20th, 2024 special meeting agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So FY25 budget discussion, one of the things, nothing has changed since we last met. However, that being said, we, at our next meeting, and it's actually going to be at 5:30, because for this new proposed tax levy hearing, it's the only thing that can be on the agenda. So as that goes, I stated it for 5:30, not knowing how much time it would actually take to have the public hearing. But it's not too late to change it if you believe that we should have the special meeting at 6 and the regular meeting at 6:30. So maybe, people that work later will be able to attend.
I think that's probably a good idea. People are used to, starting at 6, so.
Okay.
We're gonna upset somebody one way or another, so
Okay.
6 is norm, so.
That's what I was thinking. The more I thought about it, I was like, we want to be as transparent as we can, and
Right.
we don't want to be charged that, we did the meeting early so nobody could be here. You know what I mean? So, okay. So we'll do the special meeting at 6, and then we'll do the regular agenda. We'll actually close that meeting and then come into a new meeting, say at, 6:20? 6:30?
The first one in March, are you talking?
Yeah, it's going to be the first meeting in March. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that'll work.
6:20 or 6:30?
I would
long
say
is-
6:30, because if people are coming to complain or voice their opinions, they may need more
Yeah.
than 15, 20
That
minutes.
way we have adequate time.
Okay.
Then we're not cutting them off too fast.
You want to give them extra time to complain, Sandy?
They only get 3
I'm,
minutes.
I'm
according
new,
to
isn't
my-
that the way new people think?
I'm sticking to it now, and I don't want to cut anyone off sooner.
We've let to your,
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know this is a different meeting.
So as far as the agenda, or as far as the budget goes, like I said, nothing had changed. We're still reviewing security system quotes. I will talk to Justin about that again. Dick has met with Scott Strader and talked to some of the city employees regarding the sump pit project down at the CRC. Tile replacement, what I budgeted is just to do the strip and polished concrete floor, which was at 4162. And then the stalker radar unit, which is at 3109. Those costs are above and beyond the regular items in their budget. That's why we kind of spell them out. Most of the other expenses that are in the budget are going on an average of 3 years or an increase of 3%, like for your utilities, et cetera.
Do we have any idea how much longer before we got any kind of a narrower than 18,000 to 30,000 for the security system?
No, but if you, and Justin said he thought that 18,000 would be enough, so we just split it 9,000 for each. 9,000 for fire and 9,000 for, that's my daughter.
So the 18 gets us an adequate system that will do everything we need it to. The 30 was just the bells and whistles and.
Yeah,
Okay,
and then that,
okay.
we talked about, at one point, we talked about security for different places throughout the city. And maybe just getting, one whole thing. I kind of think that's on the back burner now, but we talked about security at City Hall, and then we kind of just decided that we would lock that back door. Because none of us, besides that day that actually happened, have feared for our lives here at all, ever.
Yeah, and there's probably not too many instances that would cause that ever in City Hall.
Yeah.
Evansdale, anyway.
Right. But it, you know, it definitely at the CRC, and he said that he felt that 9,000 for fire and 9,000 for police was gonna be plenty to do the system that they need down there. We talked about the fire chief increase, going from 10,000 to 12,500. It has not been increased since 2015. However, like the normal runs with fire and with, ambulance and ambulance drivers, they went up $1. We did, was it 3 years ago, Ryan, that we adjusted their pay? Okay, so we did adjust their pay for anyone that is doing service calls and transports. So, and then we also upped the EMTs to 15, and then if you're advanced paramedic or a paramedic, 18. And that was from 9. So, we did address that, per, Chief Phillips' request a couple years ago. Heat pump replacement, it was funny, talked to Chris with Air Services when we were discussing the library, heating, cooling system. And, you know, he stated that, you know, I was under the impression for some reason that there was only 6 heat exchangers or heat pumps throughout that building, but there's like a heat pump in every room. So, huh?
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was gonna give me more details on that and where we're at, because we've been doing this since 2019. We've been replacing one. One year we did 2 because they gave us a better deal. So we've been, you know, replacing these heat pumps down the CRC because obviously they're 20 years old and nothing, actually, no maintenance had been done to the system at all. So, and I did remind Air Services that we did sign a maintenance agreement with them back in 19, and I don't know where they're at with that because they haven't responded back, but it's not a bad idea to have a service agreement for that system because it's such a beast.
If we already had one, then maybe they should
Yeah,
at least give us a discount or something, you know, on something that we're.
that is true. They haven't done anything towards it, though, you know what I mean? They haven't put us on that routine, even though we signed that agreement back then.
Okay. This is Air Services.
Yeah, Air Services. And we've had a good working relationship with them, and we've dealt with a couple others. Initially, you'd only had one quote in your packet for the library. I did get another one today. I put it on your, by your seats. We were able to get another one. I had a couple of these companies that we've been working with for several years now. They should have caught that, because we have a service agreement with a company right now for City Hall. And they didn't. And then we had another company come out, because they weren't available the day that it went out in November, and they missed it too. So I'm not mentioning any names, but that's kind of what we're up against right now. Nobody's perfect, but we'd also talked about doing that side by side, and I did talk to Blackhawk Gaming, and they seemed like that was something that they'd be interested in helping us fund. So I was pretty excited about that. I think it'd be really.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Did they indicate percentage of
Th-
that number?
They usually do 50%,
Okay.
so,
Is that number, is that like completely equipped with everything needed, or?
55,000.
Yeah, it can vary
And I've just,
And
I've
have
looked
the
at some and
options
I,
that you
you know,
want.
they start, you know, something even 4 doors, you know, they're 30-ish, so I'm assuming this is pretty outfitted. Okay.
We could add more stuff to it for like, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think the association might kick some money on too, for what,
Okay,
especially if we want, a few extra things on there. or-
okay. That'd be
well,
cool.
and I'm sure something like that, we could get some kind of local fundraiser going or something, just a little help.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Sky's the limit on the price tag for those, so
Oh, yeah, I mean, you can just keep adding.
not hard to do.
And then we were gonna do, that extractor 22 turnout gear washer as well. So those two things you'll wanna keep on the top of your mind come about July and start getting quotes. We'll apply for that Blackhawk Gaming grant. We'll do our letter of intent in August. And actually, the whole application process, will be in September. So we should find out, I think, I wanna say it's in like October when we find out. Yeah,
Have you seen those extractors in person?
I've looked at a few of them.
Okay, the ones that you're looking at, how many sets of gear can it hold at a time?
It says up to 4,
Okay,
but I don't think you wanna overload it though. either.
right.
4 to 6,
I'm just wondering, I haven't seen it in person. Do you know what cubic foot it's considered?
No, top of my head, no.
Okay. Do you have any of that information at the station?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been wanting to stop by anyway, so I can stop by and look at that, because I'm just curious, because I've got another model that's available to me that's not like a consumer model. But I can't get the extractor that's made for what you're wanting to do with it. And I'm just wondering if they're any different.
Yeah, I'll, send info to you or stop by.
Yeah, I'll stop by the fire station, because I wanted to look down in the pit too and see that, so.
yeah, if you had a chance, look at the heating and cooling system
Yeah.
we have down there too. The beast. Any questions so far?
Not so far, really.
Okay. Animal control, we talked about, wage increase of 5%. How long has that been since we have increased that? It's been like 3 years ago? 3 years ago. So, yeah, that's, been a long time. And this only puts it at 78, 75, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Now, is that just for Wanda, or is it part of your crew as well?
I am the only one that gets a small portion of animal control out of that budget. They don't, it's just me and Wanda split that 78.
Okay.
What was it again, 75?
70.
I think my portion is 1750 and her portion is,
The rest?
16.
Because it was 7,500.
750.
Yeah.
Yep, 5750 and mine's 1750.
Does that seem reasonable to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. City clerk, we talked about wage increase for 5%. Initially, we were, and, you know, we are gonna do a review here too, like, real soon. We keep promising her that, and it's like, then another day, and another week, and another month that went by already.
When did you start, Misty? September 18th. September.
So,
So we do also need to get the deputy
Yes.
clerk, the wage assigned, I'm
yeah,
assuming.
and I was kind of going on, you know, that's gonna be dependent at the time, in that I was kind of going on where we were when we last had one, which is around the 19 to 20 range.
Okay. Well, I would say we need to,
That's kind of what I budgeted, so,
we should probably get moving on it sooner rather than
Yeah,
later. And then
I
it would
know.
make all the other, stuff
Yeah.
run a little smoother. I know it's easier said than done, but.
Yeah, no, the problem is with that, and it's not a problem, it's not a problem, we want to be available to that person when they start too. Because
I get it.
if we're
I've
both
tried to train.
swamped, we're not gonna be able to give her that attention. And like I said, once we get through this process, we will have time,
To do interviews and
yeah,
background checks.
to do, and I can help her with her workload, when she's doing training, because
Yep.
that's, yeah, that's it. So, parks, they, as far as this year goes, it's just really Silcoat roadway at Deerwood Campground. It got pretty, scuffed up, or whatever you wanna call it, a little bit damaged during the, last year when we put the, new campground sites in. We just upgraded them with sewer. So the road got a little rough during that process, so they just wanted to seal coat that. Purchase a golf cart, that was gonna be around 13,000, and that was a state bid. Cause I guess there is a state bid for golf carts. So,
All right.
and then he had included in his budget engineering for design of new bathrooms at Angel, and the possibility of having one at Gardner Parks. We'll see if we're gonna do them the same year. I did talk to Blackhawk Gaming about that as well. I didn't get a hugely positive response, but I think it'd be something they consider.
Okay.
They've done a lot for Angels Park throughout the years. But that might be even something we can go for, a LawCon grant also.
What is
That's-
that? What is that?
LawCon, that's, land and water conservation. It's part of the DNR. So, and they, they're all about recreation and such. That's part of what we've been doing with the Water Trails Project. We're working with the same group of people.
Okay.
Yep. Capital projects, obviously, and we could talk about this, I do have it, no decisions to be made, obviously, but I do have it on the agenda as well. I found out, I had a real long talk with Adrian, our city engineer, last week. We're not expected to get the archaeological okay until the 24th, which will be, so we'll have something next week. That being said, even if that's then they start the whole preliminary designs and all that with the DOT. We won't actually go out for bid on that until July.
I thought they already had designs.
They do, but it's for the DOT, do things in steps. So, it is the DOT, that's just how they work. It's federally funded program.
And how much of the project is federally paid for?
Well, only 1.7 right now, 1.7 million, because initially the project was just gonna be overlay it. So when they went out for funds, this was back in 2020, 2.6 million is a lot different than 6.9 million. So I asked him, and it has been my experience, and you can just about probably ask any contractor, that it's not good to go out for bid in July and start a project in September. And I did call Intercog, and they stated that if we move back West Gilbert 1 year, so West Gilbert, right now, we were looking to start that project, and it's West Gilbert to Grand in FY '27. Well, with all that we're doing right now, because we didn't have Eagles Landing and all that, I asked, well, if we kick that back a year to FY '28, which reality is that's only 3 years away. 3 years away in fiscal years. And we kick that project back a year, could we get any more additional funds for this? And he thought we could, about 600,000. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Go out for bid in July. No, you don't have to answer this tonight. I do have it on the agenda, though. Because we would need to let them know if we're gonna do that. We would need to let Intercog know that we're in the running for that. I would like to see us have some cushion on this project, because it's almost inevitable that there's, change orders or what have you. So just food for thought. You guys can think about it. The other thing is Eagles Landing Phase 2 roadway and infrastructure, that's 2.6 million. The Water Trails project is 372,000. And the good thing about the Water Trails project, I was gonna give you guys just a second.
Hello.
Nope. This is kind of the Water Trails project, and they do a lot of promoting for that. I think, since the city has, increased a little bit, but, our portion is only 20,000. So I think it's the next and coming thing. Back in the early 2000s, I was out kayaking in the Gulf of Mexico when I lived down in Florida. And it was a big thing back then. It's slowly made it, up this way, and I just think it would be a good project for the city.
Yeah, it looked neat. I just listened to the one complaint that I had heard was it's not gonna be the greatest for normal boats. But in the river, what really is,
Right now.
and I know that
Especially
they're
right
kinda
now.
gearing it more towards kayaks, tubing, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, and we do have a boat landing at Deerwood.
Right.
So if they wanted to put their boat in, they could put it there.
Well, I think the point is that why couldn't we make one work best for all?
Oh, yeah.
If it could be looked at maybe another way, that it would be more
Yeah.
useful for all kind of watercraft.
Right.
With that big of a project, you would think that you could kind of cater it.
Yeah, and, Dick actually met with the DNR and met with the Blackhawk County Conservation to see if we could do it further down, actually in the heights. And they said no, so,
Well, I think it was mainly the DNR because of the
oh,
switching gears on the rise grant.
okay,
But that, had been a long time, 30, 40 years with the ramp there until it was destroyed in '08. But it allows access to below the rapids at the mouth of the creek. And I know, the fire department's had a rescue there that was down from the landing. You had a rescue below the mouth of the creek one time, didn't you? And you had a hard time?
Been a couple times. Down, just past the Nation Trail, or around the Nation Trail, there's so much rock through there. You
Yeah.
can't get through there at all.
It's just all rapid. You can walk across there now,
yeah.
but it's probably late in the game, I guess. Too bad. But, 'cause we started out at what, like 79,000
Probably,
on the ramp when that
yeah.
woman was
Yeah.
designing it. And now what are we, 3?
Well, no, Stan Tech, when Stan Tech was working on the project, that's when it got into the 300,000s. And then we, had
Oh, I
both.
thought she kind of bailed out, and then, that was about when I left, and I think Bolton Mink got involved,
Yeah,
your favorite engineer.
yeah. They're really good. They're great to work with, and, it just, they looked at, and that was just the initial. They just looked at the initial plans and said, there's some things that would have to change even for where we were gonna put it at the mouth of the creek. But the mouth of the creek is an option because it caused rise. And, you know, it caused rise for further down the Cedar River, which is gonna cause problems for other people. You know, that's what they look at.
Well, I know, and and I support it, but it's just that we started out with under 100 for essentially a kayak landing
Yeah,
or tubes. That's
Yeah.
about all that uses that.
right,
And now we're up over 300,000.
yeah,
Yeah, that's, seems a little crazy.
yeah.
So, and we've thought about pulling the plug on it. The past council, I think, has talked about it, and
Yeah,
I don't know. No one really wants to do that.
I mean, I can see, what's there has been like that forever and it's gotten worse and I can see the need to do something, but is it 370,000 worth of something? I don't know.
Well,
I mean, I
and-
know it's only costing us 20, but that money could be used somewhere. Do we need it? But I'm not saying I'm opposed to it. It's just.
yeah,
Well,
Seems
I
kinda-
always thought on the mouth of the creek there, even if we just had a dock, a simple floating dock and a street light, it would suffice for tubers and kayakers. But I don't know, this is kinda how it goes. We got an automatic pilot and here we are.
here we are 4
Hundreds.
years
Well, I mean,
later.
Once we do something to it, we're liable, aren't we? I mean, to some extent for people using it.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I get how it can get out of control, price-wise, because you gotta make it at least somewhat controllable.
Yeah.
The things that you can.
Right.
And where you stop, so.
yeah, I get it.
If the water trails project people are hurting that much to give that money away, maybe we'll use it, but.
Yeah, they actually went, initially we only had a $75,000 grant. And then we had a $30,000 design grant. And then, when we were kind of going backwards on the project, they threw a bunch more money at it.
And they won't let us do anything with the old Case-Beer area?
Well, that was a few years ago, because we just felt like that was so much better. Although it's been destroyed because of the '08 flood.
Right.
So it would take a lot of extra work to get it ready.
Well, I'm just wondering if there wasn't any way to split.
And
But I
it's
doubt
just
it.
not that. If you actually went and drove down there, it's not visible. It's not, it doesn't have the visibility as this would.
Yeah.
You have to actually know where you're going, and it would need a crap load of
Well,
work
we do
Right,
have
yeah.
a sign though.
to get all that,
Yeah.
those trees out of there, because you'd have to put a place to park.
Yeah.
So those are all
And,
things.
the one down on River Road, it makes more sense, cause it's right by the nature trail and
Yeah,
there's parking there and then it can be used for both. That location does make sense. I just think the utilization of it, should make sense for everybody. If it's everybody's
And-
money,
Originally, when the bike bridge was built, there was a ramp planned there, right at the bridge. And I remember asking Vern Fish, the director at that time, about it, and he said, we don't wanna talk about that, we don't have the budget for that. But it was originally kind of, maybe it was a dream, that there would be some sort of a ramp there. So there has been a vision for a long time
Well,
on
good.
that, so.
well, good. I'd really like to move forward with it. I really would. I mean, for as little as it's gonna cost the city, I think we're adding a lot to, that area. A lot of people utilize that trail, and that's, when we have signage and stuff like that, that we're gonna have that available, and, the ramp will be in such a way that your bigger groups that, you know, it might be a church group, it might be just a large family, or it might family and friends, you know, they can get a whole trailer full of kayaks and let them in all at the same time. So for that part, it's gonna be nice. It'd really
Yeah,
be nice
yeah,
for
yeah.
group events.
I
So,
feel like it would be a good fit down there. You know, you've got the nature trail, you know, that people, you know, they'll meet down there and they'll unload their bikes and they'll go to Cedar Rapids sometimes, you know. So then you've got right there, using that same area, you've got your kayakers, your tubers, your canoers, whatever. Get back on Gilbert and drive a mile and a half, and you've got Frisbee Golf Course now that families use. They have tournaments there. I just think it's a really good look for us, and I'd like to see Evansdale noted for something other than a horrible tragedy. You know what I mean?
yeah, right,
And we've talked also about
yeah,
how, you know, when you decide where you want to move to, you know, you mentioned last time that schools used to be number one, not so much anymore. We've heard the same thing from the DNR, that, you know, what to do with your, you know, time away from the job is more important to people anymore.
Yeah, cultural issues.
Exactly. I just think it would be a good fit for the whole concept.
I need to.
It'd be a better fit if it wasn't 300,000.
Well, you got to remember, we only pay 20, so
Yeah,
it's like, you know, handing back that money. I wouldn't vote for it either if we had to, you know, come up
Right.
with a whole
Yeah,
380.
That's a whole different story. That's a totally different story. I wouldn't be, you know, feel as strong about it either if we were cutting the whole check,
Right.
you know. But they, you know, want to continue to grow the water trails, and this is going to be a good addition to it. You can even download this Scan Me on your phones, obviously. And this has the Cedar Valley Trail maps on one side, and then the water trails on the other side. So then you have access to it right on your phone. That's cool. So, next on our list is Public Works, the liner for the Sterling dump truck. Public Works Director received a 5% increase, as well as the Public Works labor through the union. We have engineering fees budgeted, actually it's $462,000 for Lafayette road construction. Road use is paying for that portion of the project of Lafayette. And then we've got $100,000 budgeted for other roadway repairs. Chris is looking into maybe seal coating some roads. Yet this year, I think this spring, we're gonna try to get going on the southern portion of McCoy Road that's really tore up, and that we're gonna seal coat that, and maybe some other streets up in the heights, like Ridge and Two River, that need some attention. And that seal coating process, you know, Chad used that back in 2010 and 2011. It does help preserve the roadways. So until we can get funding to move forward with a bigger project. City Hall, we have decided that we were gonna get someone out here to strip this, because we didn't feel that it was bad enough to replace or to take down and remove and polish and all that kind of stuff. So we're still looking into that. We also just, you know, we decided about doing something different with our website. There's a couple companies we're looking at. The company that we currently are with, they kind of backed down off this 5,000 a year thing, because they saw that it was really affecting the cities that they already serve. So they actually are at, we went and just signed just a 1-year agreement with them for $1,140. And that went up from $850, just so you know. But we would like to spend some time in the future looking at these different applications and possibly do something different next year.
Are you unsatisfied with the current website?
We just, what we were looking at really is wanting, first of all, not spending 5,000 a year for something we've had for 850 a year. So it drew us to go out and get some quotes and to look at other companies. And we found that there's other companies out there that would do it for less and have more options. So one of them that, you know, has been near and dear to several people in our community's hearts is, could you offer text, email, and landline calling for upcoming things that were going on in the city? You could sign up, you know, we could do that with the one company for $4,200 a year, and the company that we're with right now is still firm at $5,000. So,
Okay.
food for thought. Right now, we're doing status quo, and we'll take more time to look at that stuff in the future. We're not really doing anything at City Hall as far as security options. And we're not doing anything in the library as far as tiling. We're gonna, because we would strip and, you know, do the strip process over there as well. It just helps it to, it hasn't been done since, I think, 2012. So it's got quite a bit of wear and tear on it. Sewer, of course, you know, we're still in the midst of that project. Nate with Woodruff Construction will be here tonight to update the council on that project. We will be replacing lift station pumps at East End and Lafayette lift stations. I did have that in the budget for $70,000. And we will budget a couple more of those budgets, a couple more of those pumps for FY '26. And that was upon recommendation of Mike Nyman. He's with People Service that oversees our plant. Stormwater, we're having on the agenda tonight to start our stormwater project. We did have funds budgeted this year to repair some of the stormwater outlets, and then we'll do another 9 next year. And that's gonna be to the tune of 45.9. Talk about inflation, pre-2020, they were 2,500 a pop, and now they're anywhere from 5,100 to 54 a pop, so. Yard waste, we talked about doing some security systems in there. I don't know where we kind of came up with that, but is that system, Chris, that you're working with right now, would that be something that we could utilize down at the Yard Waste Center, do you think? Okay. Yeah. Questions, concerns, anything you want to see updated? Just so you know, we are staying at the same property tax levy. We will do our public hearing for the property tax levy on the 5th of March at 6 o'clock, and that will be its own separate meeting. We did not increase our tax rate at all. It just went down like 0.10. However, because of the valuation, we were able to ask for more. So we are asking for more funding through that process and still staying at the same tax rate. And I think all of you, have that copy. And what this proposed property tax levy, it just talks about what it was this year for FY '24, what our taxable valuation was, what consolidated general fund asking, and that's just the regular valuation. It doesn't include electric and gas. And then the middle one is if we stayed the same, and then the last one, if we had more tax askings. And just to keep in mind, we did have, reason for the increase is 35% increase in property insurance, fire department equipment, and employee wages are the additional askings for the property tax levy.
That looks good.
Yeah, I've been looking over it in my own time, and I haven't seen anything that really jumps off at me that, we need to cut that back. It all seems reasonable,
Yeah,
things that need to happen.
yeah.
You know, in comparison to a lot of the other cities in Blackhawk County, we are golden.
Yeah, we do. We were, yeah, we have, well, we actually looked at, I didn't for this year, but it was, I think it was last year, we were out of, 900 cities in the state of Iowa, we were like 750 with the lowest. I mean, there was 750 cities that had more tax rate, higher tax rate than us. So,
Yeah, it's always nice to see your tax rate not increase.
yeah, no, I understand, I live here too.
That should make some people happy.
Yeah, and when they say you have to live in the city that you can run for council or mayor, then, that's why,
Yeah,
because it
we pay
directly
rates too.
affects all of us. So. But one thing I did put on that agenda is, I would like to go ahead and the number 5 is requested to continue with the Water Trails project, but I'd like to do like a formal motion to move forward with that.
You want to do that now?
Yeah,
I make a motion that we continue our work with the Water Trails Project.
okay. Excuse me.
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, guys. And just so you know, I don't know if you had a copy of this from our last meeting, but with gas and electric, our growth for assessed value was right at 16.9 million. So that's pretty substantial.
We should see a jump in that.
Huh?
In the next 10 years, we'll see a big jump in that.
Yeah, well, that was probably the biggest jump they've done in ever.
Had some people nervous.
Yeah, that was,
This is slightly off track, but we've got some time.
yeah,
What internet provider are we using for Eagles Landing?
well, I don't know that for sure yet, but there is a company that is coming to town. And I haven't, they keep saying they're gonna reach out to me and I don't,
Not Heartland Technology.
no. No. But MetroNet has made known that they're coming to, Evansdale and they're providing all the fiber. So, we would have to go through the regular agreement with them. And I can imagine us doing, a concession, not charging them per linear foot or anything like that. We don't have to. We could, but we don't have to.
Is that who
would
was
be up to
laying,
council.
is that who was laying fiber last summer?
That what?
Who was laying fiber last summer?
That was for the 5G project. The 5G project was, something that happened several years ago. The FDA passed it. And it's a little communication device. You actually, if you look, you'll see them on several telephone poles around the city. I think they put in 21 or 22 right now. And that's what they are. They're probably, it's a canister about this tall, maybe a foot.
Yep.
And then about that big around. And it's a communication device for your cell phones
Use all
too.
your phones,
Huh?
5G service.
And, yep, that's their whole push to move forward with the 5G service. And I don't know if those are even live. I mean, I know they came in, I know everything was installed and,
Can't imagine they wouldn't have made them live.
huh?
If they're gonna, take the
Yeah.
expense to put them up, they're gonna make them live.
Right?
Yeah,
It'll be a
okay.
year almost, you know.
But yeah, that was that project last year, and that was with, who was that with? It doesn't matter. It's someone we do quite a bit with.
You know, they laid cable everywhere, fiber.
Fiber, yeah,
Heartland Technology was clear out in Gilbertville and Washburn. But they have no immediate plans. In fact, they're at the edge of Eagles Landing. And we wanted to use them there out of Jessup.
yeah,
They evolved for a telephone company.
yeah,
They met with us a few years ago, pretty
Right.
impressive.
yeah.
And you were never able to get MediaCom to respond, were you?
I did finally, come on in, guys. Hey, and if you wanna work on that before the meeting starts, that way, I think I got it pretty much set up besides you hooking up your laptop. Yes, I did.
So that's
I
a provider
did.
at this point?
Right now, but I want to, talk to Metronet. Cause I think, just by talking to Justin, he's dealt with that company quite a bit in his, career. They're somewhat new and they're investing a lot in these cities. But it is only fiber, it's not it's only internet, it's not cable, which we call, movie channels or whatever. So yes, that is on my list of things to do, is to reach out to them and to actually go forward with what they're gonna do, where they're gonna start, and then it would have to come to council for approval, so, yep. That's our next step.
Do you need a motion to adjourn the special session?
Yeah. That'd be
So
great.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good evening. Welcome to the Tuesday, February 20th, 2024, regularly scheduled council meeting. Would you please all stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
DeWater,
Here.
Morris,
Here.
Weir,
Yes.
Smock.
Here.
Clements.
Here,
Number 4, may I get a motion to approve the February 20th, 2024 agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Tonight, we have Nate Goich, I hope I'm saying that right, Nate, wastewater treatment plant presentation from Woodruff Construction.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet.
It's awesome. Tonight we have Trey from McClure here as well, so he can help me with any design questions, but. Yeah, nope, so I'm Nate, with Woodruff Construction, Waterloo, the project manager on the wastewater plant improvements that you have underway. And we thought it would be fun to share with you a little bit of kind of the progress. We've been out there, since spring and there's been some things done out there, and it's not a place where you all get to go every day. And we thought it would be fun to show you some pictures of what we've been up to. And if there's any questions as we go, keep it informal, just throw them at me, but I don't have anything crazy long, just a few pictures in that. What you see here is the overall, site. And when you're on the far north end, most of this is all existing buildings that you had out there. We've got some rework in some of them, some blowers and roofing and just some different odds and ends. But the main components of the project start over here at the Headworks building. And then over here is what we're gonna call the AT. It's a big tank in the ground. Over in here, this is the UV building. And there's a lift station structure right here. And then up further to the north here is a splitter box structure. So a little bit larger of an enlargement of that plan view. And you also see a berm that's gonna surround the entire site. None of that has been created as of yet. That'll happen this spring. So right now our focus has been on the structures. Kind of started backward with the flow of things because of some DNR regulations that we're up against. And so the very first components that we did on the project really start over here towards the left, and this is a lift station and a UV building. They go hand in hand and tied together. But those are the first two things we did, and we're almost ready to start up the UV. That'll happen here mid-March. As you go over to the center, again, this is the AT structure, big tank in the ground, you'll see pictures of that. And then the Headworks building, this is Mike's probably favorite place, all the new equipment and that will be in there. And that's really our big focus right now that we're working on, is coming out of the ground with that structure. So this is a shot of really before we started anything out there, just, blank land. And this is shooting towards the west. This is the old tree pit area down in here. So that first structure that we were talking about is the UV. So this is the UV under construction. You see a big mat slab of concrete and rebar and formwork. So the UV then is to the left, and then on the right is our deeper structure. That's the lift station. And so we had to put that in first because it's the deepest item in this vicinity, and then working our way up in elevation. And there's the UV building, the pre-engineered metal building structure that's getting erected. And that's the picture of the building with the sheet metal skins on it. And you can kind of see that now from the road. This is that center structure. This is that AT structure. This was probably one of the funnest components for the team to work on, just because of the mass amount of concrete and the size. Roughly 45 foot in width by 20 foot, and then 20 foot in the ground. So this picture you see the interior formwork is set, and then you see all of the steel rebar screens that are being installed. And this is the outside formwork that's being set. And then it all gets braced before the concrete was placed. And there's a picture after the formwork was stripped. Just a massive structure.
Yeah.
And when you look at it now, it's backfilled and it looks so small. You just see the top. I think it holds around 175,000 gallons. There's a shot of the inside, one of the cells. And there it is backfilled, so it doesn't look ginormous anymore, but it's there, it's underground. There's another shot of the inside. And that is a splitter box, so that's a smaller concrete structure up against the existing aeration basin. Here's a picture of some of the underground piping going in. We've got a precast manhole structure. And there's a shot within one of the precast manhole structures that has a couple of pumps. And then this is what we're currently working on. This is the Headworks building. And so in this shot, you see the perimeter foundation has been placed. And this is in the inside of it, where there's a series of concrete channels that are getting ready to be formed up with all the rebar. This is the grit chamber. This is some more critical framing, formwork that had to happen on the job, just with a circular pattern, and then coordination with where the incoming and outgoing happen with the chutes and that within this structure. But there'll be a large piece of equipment that sits over top of this. It's again, the grit chamber. And so you're seeing kind of the upper level of the formwork. There's another stage below ground there that's already been placed. And that's after it's stripped, and so that's the inside of it. And this is the flow control structure just outside of the Headworks building. It's attached to it, but this is where everything will be entering into the plant from these channels here. There's just an overall shot of that Headworks building. And the massive amount of conduit you see there for electrical and control systems. And so we just wrapped that up, and
Wow.
as of today, that structure is getting backfilled. And then what happens next is we'll pour the concrete slab, and then the mason will come in and we'll put up the masonry walls, the precast lid, and then as time goes, the equipment will start arriving, and all of that will then get installed within the building. Questions? Yeah. The entire facility will be encapsulated. Is the height the same as the neighboring dike?
Yeah, the protection height to keep this from flooding, how high is that berm gonna be around there? That's what that floor is to protect from flooding.
Yep, it's a flood barrier, designed to meet, what, the 100-year?
Hundreds minimum, I believe we went off 2008 though. That was 500 in this area. So it's designed at 2008 right again.
Just curious what, we're gonna want protection.
Sure. Better than you have now.
Yeah, it looks expensive.
Yes, sir.
Who's doing the electrical work?
The electrical on this one is KW Electric out of Cedar Falls.
Thank you. It looks
Yeah,
good seeing
yeah,
it from,
Yeah.
not from a ladder.
Oh, thanks for letting us share.
Yeah, no, you bet. I'm sure a lot of you've had the opportunity to go down there, but if you haven't, it's a must-see. Put it on your list of things to do. And thank you, Nate. I really appreciate it. Number 6 on our list here is public discussion. If you would like to, one moment. If you would like to speak verbally tonight, please come up to the podium, state your name and your address.
Good evening. Rich Kurtenbach. I get to come to you tonight and discuss something completely different. So, no, through the years, I've appreciated my relationship working with the city councils in the past, and I grew up here in Evansdale. And in this
Sorry.
process,
Sorry to state.
Oh.
We know who you are.
Yes.
Would you please? Yes,
Rich
let's-
Kurtenbach, I actually live in Waterloo,
Thank you,
and
sir.
I'm here tonight to let folks know that my term working for the IBW is coming to an end, and I am taking on the new role of running for Blackhawk County Board of Supervisor. And I've been going around to the different cities and public comments and letting folks know. We're in the final process of getting signatures on nomination papers, so if I haven't had a chance to sign that, I'd appreciate that. But in the new process of looking at my intentions of running for Blackhawk County Board of Supervisor is we've been seeing a lot of problems as far as communication from the board to our smaller cities and some of our rural areas. And that's one of the things I hope to see changed. part of my role in looking at running is also being able to make annual visits. Every one of our cities, the city council meetings at least once a year. That seems to be a little bit of the disconnect, is they're there when you need them, but you never see them until there's another time, like election time, where you get to see them again. So I don't agree with that personally. I never have, and that's not the kind of person I want to be if elected to that position. So tonight, just want to introduce myself. I know everybody here and council and folks here, they just introduce myself. You know, in 1967, my parents came to the Cedar Valley. We settled here in Evansdale. I've known Sandy since I was little. When we first moved here, I knew her parents. And so this is kind of like coming back to home every time I come back to Evansdale. So Russ, I grew up around Russ. So yeah, there's a lot of folks here that, again, this is home. But again, just let you know if there's any questions you have as far as my intentions to run for county board, please feel free to contact me.
Two questions. How do you view spending tax dollars and what is your party affiliation?
First of all, I am a Democrat, and my concern with the tax dollars and the role I played is to be very fiduciary responsible. In the role I've had no choice in when it comes to labor things. When you are responsible for other people's money, it's other people's money, it's not yours. And you gotta be responsible for that. I mean, you can't just spend other people's money like it's, if you've got a big project like wastewater plant or something like that, you gotta be looking way ahead. You can't be thinking, all right, we got this, we can just keep kicking down the road. I can tell you that the previous Board of Supervisors did a great job in getting monies ahead for our bridges in our county. I've met with several former Board of Supervisors, and they gave me the insight that they had, and so we had the monies to do those bigger projects. But that's the bigger thing. You cannot just wait till last minute. You need to be setting plans for the next 5, 10, 15 years out, especially when you're responsible for other people's money when it's tax dollars like that.
Have you got a website for your campaign?
I do. We have an announcement event coming up on March 4th with Rich, on March 4th at Jameson's. My website is Rich, R-I-T-C-H, 4, the number 4, supervisor. .com. You bet. Thank you for your time. Looking forward to working with Maury in the future, and we'll go from there.
Thanks.
Excellent.
Good luck.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate you stopping by tonight. Go ahead, John.
I want you people to know that I'm very disappointed coming up here tonight. And item number 15 is cutting back the Planning and Zoning Board to 5 members. I'm sorry. All we had to do to keep 7 members and keep everything the same was just add 2 more people, and there were 2 more people, it's Scott Strader and Denny Wilson, that would have been totally welcome, willing to come back and serve on the board, and they were not given that opportunity. Now, in the last almost 20 years that I've been on this board, I have never had one administration that ever denied someone that was a qualified person to be on that board that wasn't actually asked to serve another term. And I do not understand what rift might be between the mayor and Scott and Denny Wilson, but I tell you, it needs to be set aside because these are 2 qualified people to be on there. And it's good for the city to have people to serve that are willing to serve, and these are qualified people. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that in all my 20 years on the board, I have not seen a more qualified person than Scott Strader to be on the PZ. It'd be great for the city, it would be great for the P&Z. And the last thing I'm going to do is if you pass this as a 5-member board, I want to ask the mayor if there comes an opening on that board, if you would be willing to put Scott Strader back on it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We were the number 1 person to put on it, correct?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. That's all I want to know.
Thank you, John.
Kelly Parker, Marion Avenue. I just wanted to say that Wanda Adams, our animal control professional, I think she does a fantastic job for our city. She's so humane, and she really cares, she truly cares for all the animals that she handles. We're so lucky to have found someone in our community that has the talents that Wanda has. I saw that tonight you're planning to make some changes to the way we're doing our animal control in Evansdale, joining with Elk Run Heights. And I just want to advocate for you to continue to employ Ms. Wanda Adams in her role. We've invested in her education and her credentials, and I think it would be a real shame to lose her. It's just so apparent that her heart is really in her work. She's excellent. Additionally, at the last council meeting, the mayor commented that it's so hard to find people to serve on committees for our city, thus explaining why she wanted to bring down the Planning and Zoning Committee from 7 to 5 members. I'd like to encourage you to ask yourselves, why is that? Why is it hard to find people to serve? Could it be because people are discouraged when the mayor decides not to renew their terms without any explanation to them? She didn't give us a reason at the last meeting for her decision. I'd really like to see Mr. Scott Strader and Mr. Denny Wilson reappointed to Planning and Zoning at this meeting. They both are here. They obviously care. And I have to second John. I think Mr. Strader is incredibly knowledgeable. From the meetings that I have been privileged to attend, he knows a lot. It's really apparent he has real expertise. And I'd gently like to request perhaps a personal apology from our mayor to both of these citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Anyone else?
My name is Russell Cobb. I live in Ward number 3. I guess if I'm gonna get Lafayette Road fixed, I'm gonna have to find a councilman in my ward that's gonna stand up for me. The other thing I wanna say is, I'm a man of my word. And when your word has no value, there's something wrong. You put that together. Well, I got a couple minutes yet. 'Cause I drive around Evansdale, and these council people all got good roads. They all got good roads. But I've been driving on Lafayette. I've lived there 60 years. I came to Evansdale in 1942, so I've been here for a while. You ain't gonna tell me anything about this town that I don't know. But I'm tired of driving. If you look at the chuck holes coming out of my driveway.
I drive the road every day too.
Yeah, but you don't live on it. You got more than one way to get home.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb. Anyone else this evening? Okay, we'll move forward. Number 7, approval of the consent agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 8, approval of the resolution calendar. I'll take a motion to approve, please.
I make a motion to approve the resolution calendar.
Second.
Roll call, please.
DeWater,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Weir,
Yes.
Smock,
Yes.
and Clements.
Yes.
Excellent. Number 9, Resolution 6801 is approving change order number 1 for the wastewater treatment rehabilitation project in the amount of $18,641.05. This part of the project was actually not part of the project originally. but we haven't been having difficulties with our fence, the secure fence that goes in and out of the wastewater plant. We had received a quote. There's also a change order on there. There's a couple different change orders on the total that are showing a reduction to one area and a positive to the other. We had the decision to make, if we were gonna go ahead and just, pay for that out of, sewer revenues, or if we were gonna do a change order, and put it in as part of the project, so it would be covered by the funding. Any questions from the council? I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Dewater,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Weir,
Yes.
Smock,
Yes.
and Clements.
Yes. As discussed earlier, number 10, request from Public Works to proceed with storm drain outlet repairs in the amount of $15,600 with B&B Builders as budgeted for FY '24.
I make a motion that this request be, to go ahead with it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Request from Public Works Director to repair damaged garage door with Christie Door Company in the amount of $2,188.89.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Request from Fire Chief Phillips to make necessary repairs to 2002 ambulance with bow and muffler in the amount of $2,142.44 that was approved verbally earlier by council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Request to repair or replace library heating cooling system with air services. As I've talked to many of you, we do have 2 bids on that. One of them was late getting in, and it is the $12,250. We had a couple things happen with this particular heating unit, and none of the companies that we had been working with at the time had noticed that the heat exchangers were bad. Heat exchangers being damaged could cause carbon monoxide poisoning. It was highly recommended we get a carbon monoxide, detector right away, so to make sure that nobody, our patrons and our employees in the library were not being affected by this. So I'd like a motion to go ahead and replace. The unit is 14 years old. They kind of stated that it was gonna be, it could be up to a couple months, to get the heat exchanger part. And then it's gonna, then you're gonna be looking at $5,000-6,000. Why do we want to put that kind of money into something that is 14 years old?
I would move to approve the replacement.
Okay.
Second.
And just on the budget piece of this library's budget, pull off for the repairs, or is this city hall?
This would be City Hall,
City hall, okay.
yeah, as they rent from us.
Yep, okay.
Is the motion to go with air services?
Yes, they are low bid.
Did I get a second? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 14 is request to approve 28-year agreement with the animal control agreement with City of Elkhorn Heights in the amount of $2,353, and that is for FY '25. We have had this agreement with Elkhorn Heights for the past 3 years. We've been servicing, and part of the agreement is if it goes over a certain amount of animal control calls, that, they would have to pay individually for those calls. We have a great relationship with Elkhorn Heights. We just have a slight increase of 4% that we just wanted to get approved for our next budget year.
would move to approve the agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 698, approving wastewater increase over a 5-year period on its second reading.
I move passage of ordinance 698 on its second reading.
I'm sorry, Sam. I'll second.
Roll call, please.
DeWater,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Weir,
Yes.
Smock,
Yes.
Clements.
Yes.
Number 16, ordinance 699, reducing the size of the Planning and Zoning Commission Board from 7 members to 5 members. And this is a first reading as a first reading at our last council meeting was tabled.
I make that motion.
A brief discussion if we could.
That'd be great.
Okay. I don't personally know the value of having 7 members over 5, but I know it's a lot easier to get 5 people together than it is for 7.
Yep.
And the fact that, there wasn't enough people to meet in the past year up until recently
Yep.
is proof of that. And I guess most importantly, we'd have, capable, willing, and attending people.
Yes.
And, I would like to see, that, and in a
Right.
timely manner. If we're gonna go down to 5, have 5 good ones, and have them be there,
Right.
and have that established quickly. I don't,
Excellent.
No, I just didn't want to cut you off.
yeah,
if you
I
were
don't
finished, so.
have any more to add to that.
I believe our other boards and committees in the city are 5-member.
Yep.
So,
Including council. that
council is
makes
5
all the
members.
decisions for the whole city.
So I guess as much as anything that, that affects my decision, just consistency.
I will say, just to kind of recap and as well for council's update, I was one of the ones last time that felt I could not take action on it, given the new information. Obviously, the very strong passion that previous and current members of the P and Z were here to speak of. I did get the chance to speak to many of them. I did get the chance to speak to the mayor, got several different views, perspectives, but the one consistency I can say out, and this was not against any member, particularly saying that no one was not worth being on the board, but I will echo the one thing I got hands down was Mr. Scott Strader. He stated that he would still be more than welcome to serve, so sorry, Scott, if I'm kind of putting you on the hot seat, but I did ask him that question. I said, if it was something that came back up, would you still be interested, or was it, nope, I'm good for now? He did state that he would be. The one thing, again, that I was a definitive from several of the members across the board was his name. Very positive light in a lot of different things, so, and I'm not here to say that there was a reason why he wasn't back on. For whatever it was, I will say this, every person I talked with had a completely different recollection or perspective on where we were at today and why. That was something very unique that I'm like, wow, everyone's kind of got a little bit of different flavor. What I did bring back is, fair enough, not that I can control anything that's happened in the past, but I do have a say now, represented by not only the public, but the board as well, that I think we can do and we want to move forward. So I will say I did not get a strong opinion either way of 5 to 7, short of Mr. Peveril tonight, who obviously wanted to be more into the 7. What I did get from everyone is what Adam just brought up of you got to have people there. So even in talking with the mayor, I personally know one of the individuals on that there's nothing wrong with it. Life gets busy. But, if that's the case and we're not able to fulfill that obligation, just, go ahead and step aside. We thank you for your service. Nothing negative at all.
Absolutely.
So there were a couple other members that I know the mayor had already reached out that may be able to free up some of those seats. So whether we stay at 7 or move to 5, at a minimum, I'm hoping out of those is 5 in total, that we can get here regardless. So I did just want to share that I thank those that reached out to me and that those that answered my call. There's a lot of passion around it, and it was great to hear. And the one thing I had is there was not any overwhelming amount of negativity or personal vendettas that I felt that came out of it. So Everyone had kind of their own perspective, but overall, we just want to be able to, get on the board and do our thing, so.
And then, so we had 5 members currently on the board serving,
We have 7 right now. Or,
seats open, but there's currently how many active?
no, right now, we have 6 that are on the board, and we have one, when Misty reached out this week, that has requested to be removed from the board, which we'll do at our next meeting, so that will put us down to 5.
And one of which doesn't attend regularly.
Right,
Or hasn't had a history of regular attendance.
that's correct.
And is that at our pleasure to discontinue them on the board?
I think that that's something that we may want to pass by resolution, that council would have the authority to remove people from a board, not in a negative way.
If the
but
person
just
is
because
willing
of
to serve
attendance.
and willing to come, fine.
That is correct.
Then we can continue, but
Yeah.
we need people on there that are willing to serve if they're gonna be on.
And, we are having a meeting next Tuesday at 7, and have been told that we will have a quorum, so.
Does the city have an attendance policy in place?
We do not.
Is that something we want to consider in the
That's
future?
what I just said, yeah.
Okay.
We might want to consider doing that by resolution. I will take a motion to approve. Dick?
I make a motion to approve ordinance 699. First
Second.
reading.
I thought you had something to say.
Was there already a motion on the floor? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Dottie,
Oh,
did
there
you-
was.
Dottie
I'm
did have
sorry.
the motion.
No, you're okay. I was
Sorry,
jogging my memory too, so.
Yeah. So that's a second. Roll call, please.
D-Water,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Weir,
Yes.
Smock,
No.
Clements.
Yes.
Okay.
And just, Mayor, if I may, just one more point, especially since we have a meeting next week with P and Z. The reason I voted no tonight is I am very curious to see their attendance next week.
Yep. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate that.
I want to hold you to what you said a little while ago about putting Strader on as a number 1 person, because this is my resignation from the Planning and Zoning Board. I've had enough of this kind of crap going on. I'm not putting up with this. I don't know what your reason was for not putting him back on after I talked to you, because I thought you were real
There was
pleased.
no ill reason. There
There
was
was no reason?
there
at
was
all?
no reason.
I've served for almost 20 years on this, and I've never had anything like this come up, and I'm not gonna, I've had enough of it. So there's my resignation, I'm holding you to put it on. The whole council heard you say that you would reinstate him, the first person, you had an opening, so reinstate him. Thank you. I'll have your book, the end of it.
I will say, John, sorry to see you go like this, but I do want to echo, thank you.
That's the way it has to be, to get somebody back on that's qualified, so it's gonna have to be.
And I just wanted to,
She holds the work.
and I just wanted to thank you for your service to the board. I know you've been there quite a long
Thank you
time.
for all
Yeah.
the years. Thank you.
Okay, 17, ordinance 700, approving changes to park regulations in its first reading. Any questions? Tom is here, park chair. If you have any questions for him as well. Just a couple minor changes to their ordinance.
I move passage of ordinance 700.
Second.
Roll call, please.
D-Water,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Weir,
Yes.
Smock,
Yes.
Clements.
Yes.
Number 18, request to schedule citywide garage sales for May 31st through June 2nd.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And now we can answer the questions that they keep asking on social media.
This is correct.
There has been
And calling
interest.
with. Following that is number 19, request a schedule citywide cleanup for June 7th and 8th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 20, request to move the Lafayette reconstruction project to spring of 2025 and apply for additional funding for the project. We have been held back on this project. Actually, to be honest with you, in 2019, we started the necessary paperwork to go forward with getting Lafayette overlaid. The road is in shambles. At one point, we were instructed that an overlay was not gonna fix that road. All you're doing is putting a Band-Aid over that road because it's over 75 years old, let's just put it that way. Last fall, we had the state of Iowa say that they had to have an archaeological study done on that road. Even back in the 40s, when the road was done, they did the road, which was surprising to all of us. That has held the project back. We had every intention to start this spring on this project, and everybody that's been at this meeting or has watched this meeting knows that we had every intention to start this project this spring. That being said, our engineer gave me the news last week that the earliest, even if they do approve it as of the 24th of February, to move forward with the project, with the DOT, since it is a DOT bid project, that it's not gonna go out for bid until July. So if it doesn't go out for bid until July, we're not gonna be able to start the project until September. So the reason I brought it to council tonight, do we wanna start the project in September? Or do we wanna have the opportunity to go out for more funding? I was told that we have the opportunity to get another 600,000 for that project. But I'm leaving it up to council to decide because it's not my decision. It's everybody in the city's decision, really. And I know what you guys have been put through with waiting for this project for, 5 years to begin with. It's very discouraging. And, I can't say more myself that I wanted to see it get started in a month, so.
So does, the possibility of bidding this affect future funding?
It does, actually. I mean, you could bid it, but for anyone that knows construction, if you don't know construction, or if you haven't been around the city environment when things are bid, the problem with bidding in July is the construction companies have their timeline set out for this year already.
Yeah.
Usually, it's gonna be fall, or worst case scenario, a January bid date.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking along those lines. I was thinking, it seemed like in the past, there'd been some issues with having the funding all lined up to start with before you bid it.
No, we could not, if we went out for additional funding, we could not start the project until October. And we're not gonna start a project like that in October, So we wouldn't be able to start on it until the following spring. But like I said, that's not my decision. That's your guys' decision. I think it'd be great if we got additional funding for it, but I feel for the people that live directly on Lafayette Road, because it's gotten to
Yeah,
the point where it's
it's bad.
unbearable. It is.
So it was what, 6.9 million for the full project as we've seen it designed,
That's correct.
of which the DOT is providing how much?
1.7.
1.7, and approximately maybe 600 more available. So we'd be, a little under half funded. And there's no kind of appeal we can do to get it going to bid any sooner than July?
No,
I mean, there's
I
no-
was really disappointed.
no way to squeak loud enough to get attention?
I guess we could all call the DOT. all the people that live
Get after
on,
it, Derek.
I guess all the people that live on Lafayette or off Lafayette, I mean, go for it.
I mean, you hate to keep kicking it down the road, but if we can't get started on the project, before winter, really, I mean, you can start in September, but what's that gonna consist of? And then
Mess for
it's all
winter.
on hold, and, you know, none of us wanna see it go to the next year, but what else, what other choice do we have right now? Is what I'm wondering.
I mean, the two major things I look at, where we are, is bidding it in July. I'm definitely not an expert in the bid process, but thanks to, actually working with the DOT and visiting with them directly for my day job, learning how their bid process and things work, and then even the construction companies, they will absolutely bid on things even if they don't need the work, but they bid so high that even if they're the low bidder, it's got massive margin in it, because there's like, well, we don't need it right now, so we can add that inflated cost. And if we win, great. If we lose it, no problem. So we run the risk, really two risks, and I don't know which one's greater. We wait, of course, costs always go up. So we wait along, and again, we've got more cost potentially into it. But then we wait, and could we potentially get more aggressive pricing in the off-season? That was my concern coming into it even January, February this year, that I'm like, they're full up. I don't know if we're gonna score, we definitely wanted it done, but I don't know if we're gonna score any major big deals, cause they're full. I definitely don't see an advantage if we have to bid it in July, that
Well,
it's
they
gonna
wouldn't
be any
even start
benefit.
until next spring anyway, so.
They'd, yeah, start some of the basic grading and prep work in
Yeah.
September, but then it will sit, potentially even with a mild mess. I mean, we may have a half tore up road or something for the winter.
For a longer period of
Yeah,
time.
for, more inconvenience then.
Is there, I mean, with any, I don't know who'd be ended up doing the project, but if there was any way we could say, your shovel's going in as soon as the frost is out of the ground, let's line it up, is there a way that we can line up the process so that we know that there's not gonna be any more delay, that next spring, it's it? I mean, we can't keep pushing this, cause that road is just terrible.
My
No,
knowledge
I know.
of the DOT contracts they go out is there's not necessarily a set time frame as far as you need to be so far by this and that. There's so many given working days.
Yeah,
So that, if it's too cold in the winter, they're exempt, but if it's not, and they're not working, well, that's still a working day. So for us to be able to hold them to a specific date that you'll be done working on these days in the spring, it's a little hit and miss.
Yeah,
But is
and-
there an absolute, close to the project within it? Yeah. Those I think are normally negotiable into the projects, but.
I don't know. They, our engineer did say we could start the project in September, but there's all these, scenarios around that. We could start it, we would start in the business section. And, possibly with a good fall, like we've had in the last,
Have they given any inclination how long each phase, so like the business section there is phase one, correct?
yeah, that would be phase one.
And did they give any kind of idea of how long that process takes, just that phase?
Well, he said that we could probably get that buttoned up.
The whole phase
Just
before the end
the,
of the year?
the thing you wouldn't get done is like seating, because there's a deadline. There is a deadline, for when, people are, they shut down the asphalt plants too. Those are all things we have to take into consideration to start a project that late in the season.
If we go for bid in July, is there anything that says we have to accept one of the bids?
That I'm not sure about.
Because I'm just curious. I wonder if it's worth finding out, because even if they come
Oh,
back,
Nate
my
left.
fear is they come back and it's 6.9 estimated and it's 9 million. They don't need the work, they don't need it, and all of a sudden it hits. Can we refuse it and hit January?
It definitely depends on the source. I don't work with the DOT, I don't know if they allow it. I know on our wastewater projects, you can reject the bids and rebid later. Unfortunately, I've never worked with the DOT, I don't know if they allow it.
Okay.
Well, if we can
It's something you could ask though.
revoke
Yeah,
our
we
bid,
could. No, and we could table this tonight and, you know, we'll find out next week, hopefully, if, you know, we're not gonna get pushback on the archaeological standpoint. DOT did recommend approval by the state archaeological division, so,
Yeah, because I'm with Justin that, I mean, the growing costs, I mean, is the 600,000 that we might be able to get next year
yeah.
worth it? You know, because like you said, it could go from 7 to 9. And then 600,000 isn't worth anything.
Right.
So, yeah, maybe we need to table it for now and see if, once we ring the bell, if we can bring it back.
Is there a caveat to giving the additional 600,000? For example, is there a requirement that if we give you this extra little money that you found, you have to put in like special sidewalks or something
No,
fancy?
there's not.
There's no give and take?
There isn't.
I guess where is the extra funding coming from?
It would be DOT funding. The caveat would be the next item on the agenda is we would throw the West Gilbert project, which is really technically only 2 budget years out. It was budgeted for FY '27, and that was reconstruct West Gilbert from just beyond Quick Star to Grand. Because if you've noticed that's really starting to wear. And we have funding for that project for FY '27. So what we would do in order to get the 600,000 is we would just move that West Gilbert project back to FY '28. So. That's a reconstruction project. Reconstruction of the curb and gutter, stormwaters. No.
Mayor, I had a question. In the budget that you put out, I'm a little familiar with it. In the current budget, it shows 2.6 million under the Lafayette project this year, current budget. So if we have 2.6, and we're gonna get 1.7 from the DOT, that comes up to me to 4.3. That's on the budget that you put out.
Now, yeah, last year when we were thinking we were gonna
Well, this
do,
one you just put out a week ago. It shows what's on this line item for current budget and Lafayette reconstruction. And then out at the end, you're requesting six million. Is that to complete the project? Because of the funding's not
the
there?
2.6 million was budgeted in FY '24 this
Right.
year, the year we're in right now.
But how
The
much-
budget we're working on right now is FY '25.
But how much money are we gonna be paying if this is gonna get delayed? I sat on this council and heard a year ago, we keep delaying it, then it goes up 500,000, $1 million, $1 million. I mean, now I'm reading into this, this is gonna go up again before you ever get it settled and get the road going.
We're actually tabling it tonight, Mr. Siebel. So, to explore what our options are with the DOT.
I don't think the 600,000 does any value for the project myself personally, but I think we need to find out why I was under the impression all along that this road, until we went curb and gutter, that this road was pretty much paid for. A year ago, 2 years ago. I mean, I keep everything. I mean, and so I'm thinking that money was there at one point, so now we're acting like it's a start over, looking for funding. And when I was on the council, we never had dialogue that we're looking for funding for Lafayette. It was gonna be a go, waiting on the archaeological deal, and we were gonna go. So is archaeological the only thing holding it up, or is funding and the archaeological survey?
No, the archaeological study, Mr. Siebel.
Because we passed the bond that was all encompassing for
that's-
Lafayette, for
That's
Eagles
coming up
Landing
at our
stuff.
next meeting, yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yep.
Yep.
That's what I was asking, Justin, that money's,
Yeah.
portion of that money is then gonna go to Lafayette.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that
absolutely.
very-
That's all I wanted to know.
Yep, that very large dollar amount is split between a few different
Eagles
projects.
Landing and Lafayette, that's what I thought.
Mr. Cobb.
Is this road blacktop or is it concrete?
It is asphalt, that is correct. And it's gonna have, the curb and gutter is gonna be concrete. And it's gonna have 8 inches of asphalt.
Full thickness, complete replacement. And the asphalt was at the recommendation of a couple of engineers and then the actual city engineering firm of whether to go. Say that again?
In 7 years with the asphalt, you're gonna be back
I'd have to go back through all the specific notes that they gave us because we actually asked those questions last year when we said, what's the benefits of one to the other? And really what it came down to was the longevity of it was pretty close for the life, and they both target 50 years, even with concrete versus asphalt. The repairability of asphalt is you could come in and just grind off a little bit of the top and then just overlay, rather than having to worry about full thickness cracks and things through concrete, which will push through asphalt, which is why the initial project that Mr. Siebel was talking about initially was just over that 2 million. As soon as we found out, they came in and said, you can put asphalt over top of it, but within, I think it was like a year. It wasn't any time, and they brought examples of where they've done it throughout the state. And he goes, all these cracks, bumps, and things came right back after one winter. So at that time, between Councilman Siebel, I know, Councilman Nichols was one, proponents, we put the brakes on and said, again, we gotta delay it again and we don't like it, but if we're gonna do it, let's do it right. Because this road is long past served its time frame. Let's do that again. So,
Who inspects the work that's being done?
on a DOT project,
I'm just asking you that.
so I believe and I'm not the expert.
Gilbert, if you take Gilbert, you hit my boat behind my pickup, when I pull it down Gilbert,
Mhm.
you think you was out in the sea, and it's like this, and I'm not speeding. Now, one thing about Blacktop, I don't know if you remember this, but University Avenue, out there by where Blackhawk Creek is at, where it goes over Blackhawk Creek. A few years ago, and I'm talking about a few years back, somebody laid that at Blacktop, and they laid 4-inch layers. And it wasn't 1 year later, that thing looked like the wind was blowing on it. It was so rough.
Make it lower.
Now, if you're gonna put 2 4-inch layers on there and that thing starts going like this, but what they normally lay is 2-inch layers. So you gotta see what they do. So the weather was coming bad, and so they thought they'd cut a fat pig in the butt and lay thicker layers. Well, they ended up, city had to replace it in just a few years, a couple of years.
Jeff
Mr.
Bergman.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify, because I was on the council too with Mr. Siebel, that the project is not just an overlay, it's a complete rebuild.
That is
of
correct.
road. So it's not just a skim it off and put asphalt down. This is a complete rebuild of the road, as University would have been. But now, instead of a concrete middle, it'll be an asphalt middle. It'll be done right, as Justin has been indicating. So just to kind of clarify to the public that may not know, that that's the intent of the project. As far as I knew all along, this has been changed.
Thanks, Chip. Doug?
This is off of that just a little bit. I wanna know when you put the road in, what's the regulations, cause I'm telling you, I'm watching River Forest real close. That's not a semi go-through. I drove bus out here for 18 years. The last 2 years, in the morning, the afternoon, I run River Forest, and 10 to 12 semis, and they're not coming into town. They're haul trucks, they're gas trucks, that aren't coming to our gas stations. And if you're gonna open that up, you're wasting your money, because you're not gonna build it for a semi. I know you're not. And the asphalt won't last under semis, it never has. And you know, I don't wanna block people out, but they build a road for the semis, and we all know they're coming right to our town. I followed them from
Yeah,
up there on 18th Street, I followed them all the way through town, all the way back onto the highway, because they didn't wanna go around. You know, I don't wanna shut down the city, but you're either gonna have to spend a lot more money for the road, or you're gonna have to block it off. And I mean, I've seen county sheriffs, highway patrolmen, our city, they follow them around. You know, I mean, if you're gonna have a law, let's enforce it, and let's take care of our city citizens.
yep.
Thanks, Doug.
I'd like to go back where we were at a minute ago, Justin. Why can't we, trying to word this right, why can't we figure out how to put down what was down there to start with? That's 75 years on that road that it's held up. Why can't we get that type of product now? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Is there, they don't do that type of concrete anymore?
you can get that kind of concrete. It's just gonna be double, triple, quadruple the price of regular concrete.
But even if it was double the price, wouldn't it be worth it if you're getting 75 years out of it?
I don't think the city has any intention of spending $20 million on that road.
Well, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not being
But that, no, but that's the answer. You know, we've asked the same questions.
The math and figures as we kind of break it down that's even how we kind of got away from just the overlays. Okay, we spend 2 million now and we get 5 years out of it. Cool, let's double that. How many times to get to 50 years? Well, now we're spending way more. So we kind of just played a little bit with the math that the
But they're saying
50-year options
By
between.
doing this asphalt, we will get the same amount of time out of it.
Yes,
as we
that
do
was, yes.
concrete?
Yep. And they were here that night last year and specifically said the life expectancy is the same, and they were very clear.
And I'm not being argumentative.
No, not at all. Because
Okay.
we want the same. We don't want to have to do a $6 or $7 million road every 10 years. No way.
I'm sure that this has come up in the old approval of everything, but,
Yeah.
with the DOT being involved with this project,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's because it's a main thoroughfare.
Yeah.
And they would have run,
Because we receive funding.
they would have had studies showing what the potential of the traffic coming through the town is going to be and building the road accordingly.
Yep.
So then, I kind of wanted to get clarification of that for
Yeah.
not just myself, but
Yep.
for what he's, out
They
here
review
looking
all the
for.
plans and
You know,
everything.
and Doug made a good point, there's a lot more semi-traffic, I've seen it too.
There's several trucks out there.
And yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
they're supposed to be going to the grocery store and not driving, they drive all the way out.
yeah, and where there's road, people will travel. Best thing to do is build it to hold up.
What's the length of the project?
No, it's just, it's from, right at the eastern side of First Security State Bank to the bridge.
It's
That side of the bank.
Yep, the whole length.
I thought you, one time said downtown one time,
No,
and I thought you're not replacing.
No, nothing there's getting touched. And it was 3 phases, if I'm correct, right? So 3 sections at a time, or 1 section?
Yeah,
3 at
yep,
or
there,
3,
yeah.
1 at a time, yeah.
yep.
When do you anticipate holding the public hearings on the project so the public can actually see the scope of it?
When we get down the road, we're not there yet.
Okay.
When we're ready to
I
launch
just,
it.
like
Yeah,
I say,
well,
there
it is-
seems
it's
to be
gonna
a
be-
little bit of
yeah.
uncertainty with the asphalt thing, and as I tried to explain that, it's a complete rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
And the more the public understands that, I think the clearer it will be that asphalt's just gonna be, it's gonna be fine,
Yeah.
but it's
And we'll ask the question
It's a
again.
misconception, I think, out there.
Yep, we'll ask the question again, so that the engineers and the experts in that area will bring it up again. Is asphalt still the best way to go? Yep, absolutely.
How's the sewer gonna work if the sewer bad? You gotta replace the sewer.
What? It's already been, our crew has gone almost completely through it, and it's very sturdy. It's in excellent condition, and it's very deep, and that's probably why. So moving on.
I was gonna say, request to make a motion to
Yes.
table that.
Yes, please.
So I will make a motion to table that so that we can do a little bit more fact-finding on penalties of refusing a bid.
Yep.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item number 21, I'm assuming we will probably table as well because they go hand in hand.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I do want to say one thing before we go into our closed session, to discuss purchase or sale of particular real estate. Our public hearing for the property tax levy will be on March 5th at 6 o'clock. The state has dictated to us that is a separate meeting. So the public hearing will be at 6 o'clock, the meeting will adjourn, and then we'll go on with our regular scheduled meeting at 6:30. So you are excused. Have a great night. If you would like to come back for number 23, stay out in the parking lot, and we'll come and get you. Beautiful evening out there. Okay, attention please, we are back into session. Number 23 is request to move forward with proposed sale of city property.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mayor, council reports, I already stated what I was informing you of. The meeting's gonna be held at 6 o'clock just for the property tax levy and 6:30 for regular meeting. Council,
Well, I just wanted to follow up with the sign thing.
okay, Yeah.
The sign that's there is a double-sided sign.
yeah,
We could split that back to single-sided signs, but one on Evansdale Drive and one on 20,
okay.
without much expense.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because it's,
Okay.
nobody really knows what it is.
I mean, why do we need to have that on the agenda? Let's just do it.
Okay,
He was just being official.
I mean, that's something that I think our crew can do. I'll ask
absolutely.
Chris.
They did it to start with, did a
Yeah,
good job. I just didn't like the
Okay.
location, but,
and if I can't do that, then we'll put it back on the agenda.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
What's this nice little new logo we got sitting in front of us?
I'm glad you asked that question.
Perfect. Yeah,
We're going to start publishing the Evansdale News again. This time we're partnering with Elk Run Heights. So in addition to the hard copy being available like it was before at the different businesses and city halls, what have you, it'll be available online and on both cities' websites. So ideally, anybody that wants it will have access to it. It'll include, it comes out monthly, and it'll include a letter each month from both mayors, letting citizens know what's going on in the community. There will be a section to, right now, highlight the different city departments, letting the citizens know who works in it and what they do for the city. Bunger School will submit an article each month, the library as well. Youth softball, they've committed to every month, so, yeah.
That's awesome.
It'll be free to readers, being paid for by advertisers, so
That's awesome.
we'll be,
Good to
yeah,
see you
there's
back.
been a lot of interest and excitement because, like most things, we don't know what we're missing until it's gone.
yes.
Yeah. It didn't get a lot of support, and that's why Creative Impact stopped publishing, but that's, it's not the case now. There's a lot of interest, so.
And thank you, Dottie, for all of your hard work and effort that has went into this project.
Oh, you're welcome.
We appreciate it.
Wonderful.
As I was canvassing, one of the, areas that got most mentioned was nobody knew what was going on in the city, what's going on with Lafayette, what's going on with the wastewater treatment plant. So I thought this would be a good vehicle to get that information out to them. No.
I would suggest you do that. If you can get a spot, I would put the minutes of your council meetings in there because a lot of people will read those.
Well, we just have to find somebody that'll buy a page to do that with.
Well, it should be under the city's page. I mean, if the mayor can put a letter in there, they should be able to put the minutes in there too of your meetings.
We have to pay for that, though.
Yeah.
how much does it cost?
It's $90 a month. That's our commitment. $90 a month to have,
And I think
our
a page
updates,
is
city updates.
$170.
Okay, if you put that letter out, how do these other people gonna know it if they don't get the letter?
It'll be distributed the same way as it was before
Yeah.
at the grocery stores.
Because I never get a letter, I never get a newsletter.
Do you go to the grocery store?
It's,
You can pick one up there.
How many people gonna go to the grocery store and go pick up a paper? A lot of people don't go.
Anybody that wants one will go there.
I'm telling you right now, it's never gonna work.
Well, then they won't get one.
Well, that's how the city works.
we're not discussing this tonight. This is,
It's not a city
this is
funded, it's
council-
not a city funded newsletter.
No, it's not.
It's
It's
not.
private.
If somebody had to, for everybody
Correct. And Jerry, and I, actually, that's a great segue, Dottie. I will jump in once you are completed.
I'm
so
done.
Give me just a second, Jerry, but go ahead and finish, Dottie, if you had anything left.
I'm done.
Okay. So just to segue into it, one, to kind of circle back, this is, again, kind of a, I don't want to say necessarily private, obviously there are people involved with it, but this is kind of a self-funded type of thing that is yet another way that we're trying to get communication out, or different organizations. So we're not trying to replace anything. To your point, we could literally go door to door, knocking and handing somebody everything each time. We're still not gonna hit everybody. So we are just trying to keep opportunities open between social media, print, online, email, just to allow people different mechanisms to communicate with them. But yes, you are correct. If they're not gonna go seek it out or anything, then they won't.
If you put it on the news, say, hey, we're gonna have this here,
Mhm.
I'll pay for the goddamn thing.
Yep. Even that though, Jerry, to the same argument, people won't watch the news.
There's a lot, you'd be surprised how many
So-
people, all the people who listen to the news.
Yeah. So this is council's time, the council to discuss things that they want to discuss. The public has already had their time for public discussion.
Well, that's why I come back in here, because he told me he was gonna have this talk, and I said, well, I'll
Yep.
come in there, and if he said March, I want this done in March.
So, where Jerry's alluding to, just something to bring up and something for the group to consider, kind of jog everybody's memory. We had talked about an open burning ban.
Yeah,
So grass, leaves and stuff, obviously it's come up to where summer, spring and summer's gonna start, so we were gonna look at it. The last conversation, there really wasn't a date set on when we were gonna move forward to it, because the last conversation, it was really trying to it's a very hot button topic. There are people on both sides, and I can tell you right now, as of today, I don't know which way I could go, because I don't know who's, more for it or against it. One, I do wanna clarify, just because people have reached out and said, no, I don't wanna lose my recreational fires. This is nothing that would penalize controlled, properly contained, recreational, clean burning wood fires. So we're gonna get that out. If you still wanna have your summer campfires, fires down at Deerwood, we absolutely don't wanna penalize our great campground. We wanna keep that. That is my opinion, that I am not for banning those. But the grass clippings, the stick, the mulch, the leaves, those types of things are really that open burning piece. So I'm just open, and obviously we're not taking action on it tonight. We last left it in getting the communication out to everyone and how to do that. And the newsletter, knowing it was coming back, was one of the things that we said, hey, we might be worth waiting for. The great segue tonight is it's getting very, very close. I know there are a lot of people that are very much ready to act on this and want to know the date, so that any of those can come up. There'll be a lot, obviously, of participation and to let us know yay or nay. I just wanted to open it up, if whenever we are ready, that one, we want to well communicate it, and then how we would like to handle it. If it's something, depending on whenever the first newsletter goes out, obviously social media mechanisms, mailing lists, whatever we can get on, just because I know it seems to be one of the smaller issues as far as what the city's doing right now. It's not a $6 or $7 million project, but I guarantee you it's gonna be a hot button topic no matter which way we go with it, so.
yeah.
Saturday night, me and the wife got home at 5:30. I went out and got the mail, and I tell you, you can stand out there for 2 minutes, my eyes would start burning, and the guy on Mary, next day, I walked over there, they had cardboard boxes around it, and it burned, because it was all thing. And my wife couldn't say anything either, so we had to get in the house, and I said, well, I'll find out next day, and I said, I do my walking every day. And I walked by there, and sure enough, he got cardboard boxes around the bird book, like this here, and I said, I'm gonna rent that tonight. So, that's gotta be done, because, the neighbor right beside me said they couldn't stand it, even in the house. The Saturday night, the wind was blowing hard, it was windy, and that all came that way, and I said, that's enough of this. I'm bringing it up, and I want to take it down that morning.
So I don't know if it'll be on the agenda. It's open to the council as a whole. We want to make sure that we have proper communication out and then enough information for the council to make what they feel is the right decision. But I do promise you that we will let you know so that you have ample time as well.
And I don't, I mean, Misty has looked up those ordinances from the other cities, and I don't have a problem now that we're, past some of this other budget stuff, to have it on the agenda, on the 5th, just for consideration, and you guys can review those other,
Do we know, so
ordinances.
the other ordinances, like the examples of ordinances similar
Yeah.
to what is being considered?
yes.
Do we also have like cities that have used these and we could talk to their government officials and ask about the effectiveness of said bans?
No, I don't know.
We have 2 communities right next to us that have both implemented those.
Both of them have.
Okay, well, I just, I mean, we
Yes.
need
No, no,
to
I
have
was like, they're right
the
here, too.
information we need, so.
Yep, so yes,
Yeah.
I know we have 2 local ones that both implemented them, and is it 100% effective? No. Do I still listen to scanners and stuff that dispatch, especially during the summer, for burning complaints in Waterloo and stuff? Absolutely. But it is something that obviously has been important. We had a, petition with almost 200 signatures on it. It's something that they would like to have brought up. So I feel it's at least my duty to do that, as it is ours to probably evaluate it.
Yep. Yes, John? You can't, but people do, right, Mr. Sebo?
Right.
But, your best defense as the citizens of Evansdale is to call dispatch and report them. Because without doing that, even if we pass this, it's not gonna stop them.
Well, I tell you what you need to do. Somebody sees a fire like that, and then if you pass this, you gotta find them.
Well, we can find them now if they're boarded in cardboard,
Well, if you go by there tomorrow morning, if you drive by there tomorrow,
but they need to know right when it's in action. You need to take the initiative yourself to call dispatch. That's what they're there for.
that's why I wanna pass it.
And then they will be fined. But, like I said,
What she's saying is the law's already in place, Jerry.
yeah,
You have to call
burn
and report
cardboard.
it for anything to be done on it.
You can burn,
Let's return to the agenda. Nobody can burn.
Yeah, we haven't even got to the public hearing.
yeah, right. Okay, I'll take a motion for adjournment if council doesn't have anything more to say.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?